Hi class, this is Carl Moore. Thank you so much for a great semester. I really appreciate all of you being involved. I would say mostly everyone, not everyone though, was very much involved and engaged in their blogs, being vulnerable and going deep and digging deep to really genuinely reflect on the material. And I see that some groups were a little bit more, at least seemingly, interactive than others. But I know that. In the past, some people have been using their telephones, and like I was telling you at the beginning of the semester, your discussion within your groups, as long as it was had within your own, um, arrangements with your group, I was fine with that. I didn't want to micromanage that process too much because I know that you signed up for an online course for reasons of flexibility. So hopefully, with the parameters that were set, you were able to engage at your own pace and get out of the course what you put in. I really appreciate the blogs. I Every time I read a blog, I was able to go through and really re-examine myself through your lens and re-examine the literature. So I appreciate that. And I just wanted to bring you back to the syllabus here, where it says the differences between teachers and students' backgrounds and how institutions and individual teachers create learning environments to engage with these differences, and how aspects of identity are framed and understood by teachers, parents, and administrator. So to expand your awareness of these issues, we will explore various ideological beliefs in teaching and learning, some common beliefs about your educational system as well as society will ha- will be analyzed. And I think that hopefully knowing, reflecting back on the statement at the end of the semester can help you realize, wow, this was the intention. This is really what we did. And as you can see right here, to be culturally responsive teachers, we need to be able to conceptualize and understand what culture is about and how it works. And I think that in addition to this, we need to be able to engage in continuous reflection. And hopefully, this semester has really impressed upon you the strength and power um, and being able to reflect. And not just reflecting thinking, but reflect around materials, happenings, and events, reflecting personally, reflecting professionally, um, reflecting socially around how you were impacted by issues of culture and identity in our society. And right here it says working from the perspective that teachers teach who we are is really important, because your ability to be able to reflect and be a reflective practitioner and be culturally competent and view yourself as a cultured being and understand your biases is going to directly impact your ability to continue to help educate students and reflect on and shape learning structures. I think in some of your feedback for some of you, I said, something to the effect of good luck transforming, you know, people and landscapes. So um, I think that with this, it's really important to revisit the assignments just really quickly. So the weekly blog. Hopefully this was helpful to you in terms of you understanding how your life and your professional life is going to be affected. I learned so much from your book groups, and actually the one book that was used by, I forgot what group number that is, Tiger Mom. I've been meaning to read that, and that was really powerful for me, being a future parent. But some really great books, and I'm hoping that you all were able to kind of go through and see what people have learned and be educated from each other. Um, the autoethnography, you all were able to grow from one step to the next stage, and I think that it is interesting when you reevaluate yourself. And some of you were calling it an ethnobiography, and I guess that may be a new name. I need to look that up and see if that's a proper way, but this is how I've been calling it for a while. So I really appreciate that. The institutional observations, um, the the lens, the heavily concentrated, multiculturally informed lens, really unpacked and shed light on some real areas of limited areas in your schools. And I found that usually I don't let students go back and do their a place that they're working in, but I saw that it was really beneficial because you are all able to, some of you were able to uncover things that you took for granted before and really examine a space. So hopefully those lenses that you were looking at your spaces through was something that you actually just go into the world with when you're interviewing for a new job or even at your job, when you're thinking of how can we create these spaces or help them become more liberatory spaces rather than ones of oppression for our students. Um, the next piece here, the curriculum critique lesson plan. You all saw these, so I don't really need to speak to these, but these were awesome. There were critiques of lesson plans that I would have never thought of because me being in education and not being in different disciplines all at the same time, there's some that were wow. It's like you can actually make teaching life skills more multiculturally competent. So hopefully you all will look through if you haven't already with those. The gatekeeper letters were decent. I wasn't super blown away by any of them, but they pretty much got the lesson across. That was an activity that was just to kind of get you all in the feel for, hey, this is going to be real. I can actually email someone about this, and I can actually apply this. And then the final reflection statements. It just if you all weren't, writing to make me feel good, I really was touched by reading through them and seeing, wow, people have grown. I mean, people reflected on not seeing themselves as a cultured being now seeing themselves as a cultured being, and reflecting on their ways of being able to find practical ways to talk and discuss with individuals. Individuals love the Tatum book. I think that people have been reflecting on how they were able to grow as a student, a teacher, and a person, reflecting on emotional empathy that they have now, their ability to empathize with other cultures. Um, I really love to see in many of them that you are making the commitment to challenge structures, and this is institutional structures of oppression, in the ways in which policy and law and the federal ways in which are all individuals aren't included, and then some of you are willing to do it in a systematic way at your local level through your schools, and some of you are willing to do it in an individual level from interacting with your friends, other teachers, etc. So I would challenge you all to do it on all three: the institutional, the local, and the individual level, because it's not until we continue to address issues on all these levels that we're able to continue to see a society that's more multiculturally competent and inclusive. So the last piece that I'll say here is, and actually I wrote this here, is that as it relates to all of our groups, all of us are in privileged groups. I know that the white privilege piece was a very particular challenge for some individuals, but as Nito and Bode said in one of their, I forgot what chapter it's in, we need to move beyond guilt and remorse to really impact structures. And I have no doubt that you all can do this, and you're doing it now. And I just really appreciate you all for being in the class. And the last thing I'll kind of conclude with is the reflecting on the recent happenings. I'm not sure if any of you watched the NBA, but there was an individual by the name of Donald Sterling who said some like really racist remarks about African Americans and Jewish individuals, etc. But I bring that up because I'm pretty sure most individuals have heard of it, but if you haven't, he owns a basketball team, the LA Clippers, and I felt when I was thinking about it the other day that this individual, Donald Sterling, is a product of our education system here in America, and the education system has failed him. There is no reason why an individual that has his level of has garnered his level of educational attainment and can still be bigoted and have such limited views about individuals and people. This is not only cross group. This happens within groups. I know African Americans that feel the same way about African Americans, as he said, and I know other individuals from other groups who have very oppressive ways of looking at their own groups. So it's beyond just a racism of understanding and thinking that you're dominant to others, but it's a cultural value thing. So how can we continue to educate our students and treat our educational spaces as opportunities for students to recognize and value difference, not just celebrate it with parties or have it where they're able to see diverse perspectives to what have you cognitively, but really value the spice and multi perspective from the world and those individuals around them. How do we challenge those students, even from whether it be minority or majority cultural groups, to re-examine themselves as cultured beings and not serve as an internalized depression, walking around thinking that their cultural identity is very much so real, when it is them enacting um, stereotypes. How can we move beyond thinking that to be black I have to like basketball, or to be Italian I have to do this, or what have you? How do we give students the tools to re-examine themselves, and continue to re-examine themselves, so that they can have more self appreciation and understanding culturally, so that they can then appreciate others. And then we can move to our next, our next challenges in our society, which is, to kind of deal with how to really truly create equality in a capitalistic system, and how to really bring democracy into a democratic system in ways that we are trying to really do on paper, but it's not always realized and manifested in real life. So that's our challenge as educators, and I would really just encourage you all to continue to keep up the fight. The fight can be more subversive, and through writing and through each one touch one and each one teach one, or it can be on the grander scale. And I would just say to you that nothing is too little, but we all definitely have a role, because if we picture our society as a house, if one part of the house is on fire, it's surely to impact the whole house if we leave some areas untended to and ignored. So I appreciate you all for what you do and the work that you do, and encourage you to continue to reflect, continue to empower, and continue to educate. So thank you for a great semester, and I would look forward to seeing some of you around. All right, thanks a lot for being in the class this semester. Bye bye.